Kwan-li-so political penal labor colony is where North Koreans suspected of wrongdoing and wrong thinking, along with up to 3 generations of family members, are summarily deported without trial to disappear into fenced-in and heavily guarded mountainous areas where they're subjected to forced labor in mines, logging, state farming, and factory work. The Kwan-li-so are usually surrounded at their outer perimeters by barbed wire electrified fences, punctuated with guard towers and patrolled by armed guards. Kwan-li-so number 14, operated by the Ministry of State Security, the Poibu, is located in a mountainous area in Kaesong-gun in South Gyeonggan Province. It is some 25 to 31 miles long and some 90 miles wide, and is estimated to hold 15,000 prisoners. This is a 3 model of Camp 14's main entrance, located in the extreme southwest corner of the camp and on the north shore of the Taedong River. This model builds on 2 previous HRNK satellite imagery reports by expert imagery analyst and lead author Joseph S. Bermudez Jr. as part of a project to provide a more detailed understanding of North Korea's detention facilities. Satellite imagery analysis shows that Camp 14 has 6 entrances and checkpoints, 37 guard positions, 3 internal guard positions or checkpoints, and 7 barracks. By themselves, these numbers, 53 total observed facilities, have only fluctuated slightly since our 2015 report. However, when taken with other activity such as agricultural, raising and construction of various structures, and the addition of guard positions, they likely represent an expansion or reorganization of guard forces, a modest increase in prisoner population, or both. This 3D model details the walled guard barracks with both road and rail entrance checkpoints. The road is the primary access route for Camp 14, where nearly and extrajudicially banished prisoners would pass through on their way to a place North Korean officials do not admit exists, a political prison. Here, prisoners would likely be strip searched and counted before being assigned a prison number and work unit. The train tracks, also shown in the model, are an electrified rail spur line that feeds the coal mines to the southeast of Camp 14, within the partially deactivated Kwan-li-so number 18. Since HRNK's 2015 report on Camp 14 security in this area has increased with the construction of 2 guard positions along the Taedong River. One position was constructed sometime by August 2018 and the other was constructed by March 2016. The absence of any vehicles observed along the perimeter or at perimeter guard positions in the imagery analyzed for this model, along with the size and quality of the roads and trails, suggests that guards patrol primarily on foot rather than vehicle. A majority of the perimeter guard positions are located along the most obvious routes of escape. The Taedong River secures Camp 14's southern perimeter, and due to its vast current and width, represents a significant obstacle to anyone who's not a strong swimmer. This model also shows that between September 2016 and August 2017, a structure to the north of the rail entrance and checkpoint was expanded considerably and is likely a barracks for Ministry of State Security guards who operate and control Camp 14. The prisoners are deemed to be social, political, economic, or ideological deviants who do not fit into or pose a risk to what the North Koreans themselves term the Kim Il-sung Nation. The vast majority of those prisoners are arbitrarily arrested with no reference to any judicial procedure, and for offenses that are not punishable in most countries, namely listening to foreign radio broadcasts, holding a Protestant or other religious service, watching a South Korean DVD, leaving dust on Kim Il-sung's picture, exiting the country without permission, expressing critical remarks about government policies, or having a father or grandfather who was a landowner or defected to South Korea or worked for the Japanese, thereby placing the family in a hostile category under North Korea's social classification or Songbun system. There is no sentence. The arrest, transportation of prisoners, and imprisonment at a camp are extrajudicial. The perceived or suspected wrongdoers and wrongthinkers, and up to 3 generations of their extended families, are apprehended by police authorities and forcibly deported to the Kwan-li-so without any judicial process or legal recourse whatsoever, usually for lifetime isolation and punishment, comprised of hard labor in mining, timber cutting, farming, and related enterprises. The striking characteristic of the Kwan-li-so system is that those citizens who are to be deprived of their liberty are not arrested, charged, or tried in any sort of judicial procedure. There's no chance to appear before a judge, confront their accusers, offer a defense, or have the benefit of legal counsel. The presumed offender is simply picked up, taken to an interrogation facility, and frequently tortured to confess before being deported to the political penal labor colony. The family members are also picked up and deported to the Kwan-li-so. Another striking feature of the Kwan-li-so system is the penal philosophy of collective responsibility, or guilt by association, yeonjwaje. Guilt by association, yeonjwaje, means that the mother, children, and sometimes grandchildren of the offending political prisoner are imprisoned in a 3-generation practice. Many of the Kwan-li-so labor camps feature multiple production areas. These include mining coal, iron, gold, and other ores, logging on the mountainsides within the boundaries of the encampments, agricultural production in the valleys between the mountains, and artisan work such as furniture making and woodworking from the logs felled by other prisoners, animal husbandry, chicken or rabbit raising, beekeeping, in the agricultural sections of the camps. Camp 14 includes a large textile factory. Back-breaking agricultural, mining, or manufacturing labor is usually performed 12 or more hours per day, 7 days per week, with only 1 day of rest per month, and on the 3 national holidays such as New Year's Day, Kim Il-sung's birthday, and Kim Jong-il's birthday. Most prisoners are assigned daily production quotas, accompanied by threats of reduced food rations and beatings. Labor is performed in work groups. The whole group can be punished for failure to meet production quotas. Sexual relations between young men and women camp residents are prohibited. Young women who become pregnant are severely punished. They're often taken away by the guards and not seen ever again. The former prisoners assume they have been executed. A very small number of the most exemplary model young prisoners are rewarded by being allowed to couple for basically having sex 3 or 4 times a year with another prisoner chosen for them by the prison guards. However, the mated couples do not thereafter live together. Rather, they remain in the sexually segregated housing facilities. The married couples are allowed to meet periodically, with the resulting children living with a mother up to age 12 or 13 and rarely seeing their fathers. For the young children brought into the camps with their parents or grandparents, and for the small number of children born to model prisoners, primary schools offering limited instruction in basic literacy and very basic math exist. Uniformed police officers serve as teachers. There are so-called middle schools, but the former prisoners describe these as in reality bases for young people's mobile labor brigades, the students having already learned in primary schools the basic reading, writing, and math necessary to perform prison camp labor. The children are indoctrinated to inform on other prisoners and even their parents. The most salient feature of day-to-day prison labor camp life is the combination of below subsistence food rations and extreme hard labor in a system of intentional, administratively inflicted hunger. The regimen of chronic semi-starvation provides only enough food to be kept perpetually on the verge of starvation. A former prisoner, Kim Young, said daily meals were limited to 20 to 30 kernels of corn and watery cabbage soup. And when he was there, a hunger-crazed prisoner, Kwan-li-so, died after having his mouth smashed by a feces-covered stick for having stolen a leather whip, which he soaked in water and then ate the softened leather. Prisoners are driven by hunger. If they can get it, anything remotely edible, plants, grass, bark, rats, snakes, foodstuff for animals at the camp. The only meat in their diet comes from rats, snakes, and frogs that they can catch. And they must, of course, avoid being caught by the guards. The latter was considered as the occupation of choice, as the prisoners had the opportunity to steal animal food and even pick through animal droppings for undigested grains. The prisoners are covered in dirt from the infrequency of bathing privileges and marked by physical deformities. You'll see hunchbacks from years of bent-over agricultural work in the absence of sufficient protein and calcium in the diet, and missing toes, missing fingers from frostbite, and missing hands or arms or legs from workplace accidents. The camps contained disciplinary punishment facilities for inmates who violate camp regulations. Former prisoners describe these facilities as tiny underground or partially underground cells in which prisoners cannot fully stand up and cannot fully lie down. Punishment cell detention within the prison camps is reportedly accompanied by severe beatings or systematic torture and even more drastically reduced food rations. Former prisoners report that fellow inmates come back from the punishment cells in very bad shape and frequently die shortly thereafter. Such punishments are meted out for various infractions of camp rules: unauthorized food gathering or eating, stealing the food provided for animals or livestock, repeated failure to meet production quotas, losing or damaging tools or equipment, suspected sabotage of camp facilities, reported complaints about camp life, or unauthorized sexual conduct between prisoners. Escape attempts are punished by public execution, sometimes by hanging, but more often by firing squad. The prisoners are compelled to assemble and witness the executions at close range. Sometimes the prisoners were compelled to file by the corpse and throw stones at the corpse or strike the corpse. For 2 decades, HRNK has been doing what the Kim regime fears the most: finding out and telling the truth about its abysmal human rights situation. Through satellite imagery analysis and escapee testimony, HRNK has documented violations, recorded the evolution of the camps, and built international awareness. This is only the beginning. We must secure access and humanitarian assistance to political prisoners, a highly vulnerable group. We must seek ways to secure the complete, verifiable, and irreversible dismantlement of Camp 14 and other camps that constitute North Korea's vast system of political imprisonment.